Greetings, friends. I'm Bart Goldberg, and with your help, we can accomplish the virtually unthinkable: to unseat in this terribly entrenched state a machine-backed 16-year incumbent for state senator. We keep electing the same people who make the same mistakes, and it simply has to stop. We all know that Illinois is really broke, but the troubling news is that it's about to get much worse. Leadership in both parties are not interested in solving the really big problems. Bruce Rauner certainly isn't. And our Democratic leaders, Mike Madigan and John Cullerton, seem to be concerned merely with amassing fortunes from lobbyists to make sure that the other members of the club are reelected every 2 years. It will be very difficult to take on the machine. But when you consider that Illinois is presently on the verge of a real crisis, it is more than worth the fight. I'm a progressive Democrat. By that, I mean that I profoundly believe that we have a duty to take care of all of those in society that are less fortunate, to provide a first-rate education for all of our children. And I believe in the benefits of sensible regulation to curtail the powers of big business. I'm all in when it comes to raising our minimum wage to $15 an hour, as I believe it will not only help those workers, but it will help our state as a whole. And I also certainly favor the immediate and full legalization of marijuana. However, there are two differences between me and a conventional progressive. And those two differences form the pillars of my vision of a sound foundation for the state of Illinois. The first is my conviction that our top priority has to be to aggressively pay down the state's unfunded pension debt. It is an anchor around our neck, and unfortunately, it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better. Within the next 10 years, we're not going to have humane government, much less the type of government that a progressive like myself would like to see. Don't be mad at the people receiving these pensions, as they did an honest day's work in reliance on our promise to pay them. Instead, be very mad at the 40 years of politicians in Springfield that spent the money on everything else instead of funding their pensions. Please take a look at my separate video where you can see how I would suggest we attack the pension problem. But briefly, I advocate paying more towards our pension debt so that we can end what I call intergenerational theft. To do this, I advocate the progressive income tax, where people making over $500,000 would pay an extra 2%, and those making over $1 million would pay an extra 3%. I also support taxing pensions over $75,000. If we were to do both of these things, then businesses would no longer be afraid to invest here, and our state would once again have a more promising future. My second pillar is that we must rid ourselves of the evil effects of special interest money. No one can be naive enough to think that when a business gives money to a politician, that they're motivated by a sense of charity. On the contrary, they invest money to make money, the classic pay to play, and we get the short end of that stick. Since we're a long way from having meaningful campaign finance reform in this state, I say let it start here and now. I hold myself to a higher standard. I get to set the rules in my campaign. I won't take $1 from an entity of any type. Only people, only small. By that I mean less than $1,000. Then no one could think I have a conflict of interest. The only duty I owe is to the people of the 20th District and my own conscience. If we could all learn to simply support candidates that take a similar pledge, well then, perhaps before long we could have honest government, and that would certainly be a good thing. I really need your help, so please contact me if you can help in any way. I go out nearly every day knocking on doors to meet voters, and it would be wonderful if you joined me. Or perhaps you could call voters or allow me to put up a yard sign. I would be awfully honored if you would decide to join the Let's Start with Bart campaign. Thank you.